Happy Wednesday. So the game plan for today is I'd like to, let's start with English today. So we're going to do 11-4, and I wanted to clarify a little bit with the subjective and objective because it was confusing last time, and I think I have a better way to explain it. And after that, we're going to talk about the compare and contrast. Sophia, I'm not going to have you on this if we're going to make faces, so let's sit up. This is for everybody. Everybody sit up. We're in class. Thank you. And then we're going to talk about compare and contrast essay, and we'll work on looking at Venn diagrams and how to make it kind of an outline. And I'm not collecting like a formal outline for this, but I want to start working on, outlining like what our ideas are going to be, and then how are we going to transfer that into writing a rough draft for that, which we talked a little bit about this before break, but now we're kind of giving more options for that essay. So let's go ahead and move to, we're going to do 11-4. So if you could get classroom practice 53 out, that would be super fabulous. You guys all have it out?
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are on it. I guess we gotta wait for Will for a second. If you could, and do you have your English books open to 11-4 too? You already got that too? Page 330?
We're on top of stuff today.
I love it. Thank you. All right, so let's go ahead and go through the word of the day today, which is mandatory. And mandatory is commanded by an authority. Synonym required, antonym unnecessary. 4 years of math are required for all students. That would be usually in high school, that would be required. Okay, and then we have stationary. It's a stationary as principal as a principal, so it would be a homonym relationship. If you have another example of that same homonym relationship, go ahead and post that in the chat. Other examples of near homonym relationships.
What music is that?
There you go. Oh, yep. 2, 2, and 2. Good. All those are really good examples. All right. So let's go ahead and move on. Let's look at, turn it on the back of page 53. I'm going to go ahead and switch over my screen. All right. So let's go ahead and look at the sentences on the back. So it says, like number 1 is the mosquito bit me, or
I
mosquito bit blank on the arm. And if we're looking at subjective and objective, remember that subjective would be like the subject, but also predicate noun and predicate pronoun, as well as objective would be like object of the preposition, so O-P, I-O, D-O, and those kind of things. So I think that was something that got a little confusing the other day, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta clarify that because I didn't do a very good job with that. Winner was obviously, okay. So when we look at these sentences, let's look at this first one. It says a mosquito bit blank on the arm. First off, it would be me or I. And what would be the job of that? So if we were to be classifying this sentence, we would say, okay, what is it? Is mosquito nearly the same thing as I or me? No, it wouldn't. So it would be a direct object. That would be the job of this word. So since it's objective, what would be the word that we would choose? It would be me. And I know that because looking at the notes from last time, me is an objective word. Okay, so moving on, we have the winner was obviously, and it should be he or him. And looking at this, this would be a predicate, noun, or pronoun in this spot because him or me, or sorry, I apologize, he or him means nearly the same thing as winner because it's the same thing. The winner is he or him, okay? So looking at this would be, the job would be predicate, pronoun. So it should be subjective, and it should be he, because that's a subjective. Okay, go ahead and try numbers 3 and 4 on your own, and then we'll touch base and talk about them. Here, I'm gonna go ahead. If you guys could mute yourselves, that'd be helpful. Thank you. Hi, Jeanette. All right. So looking at this one, Jeanette, we're on the back of page 50. See, classroom practice 53. All right. So number 3. Can you show me an objective or subjective? What do we think? What do we think? Can you show me? Wait, is there a problem? Uh-oh, what's wrong? Eloise, what's wrong?
The 3 and 4, we don't have that on ours.
You don't? On the back?
We don't have a back.
You don't? Oh, you guys don't? Oops. Okay. Well, then let's just do these sentences right here. That's weird. On the back, it shows in my book that you guys have a back.
Ours is just lines.
That is so weird. Okay. Sorry. All right, let's go ahead and do these ones. Can you find blank? So it's either he and I or him and me at the game. What do you guys think? It would be objective because it would be the compound direct object. So it should be him and me. And then this last one, my uncle took, it's either they or them home yesterday. And it would be a direct object again. And so it would be them objective. So if you are still like, what? At the end of this session, if you'd like to stay and kind of touch base and talk more about subjective and objective, we can talk more about that. Okay? All right. Let's go ahead and move on. And your homework is to finish classroom practice 53 today and to work on that outline, which we'll do together right now. And I'll stay online for a little while if you want to talk about your outline at all or English. So that is an option, but I won't be still recording that. Any questions right now? No? All right, you guys doing a great job. Okay, so let's go ahead and get your little compare and contrast Venn diagram. And if you did this online and you can't pull that up right now, that's okay. But if you do have it, definitely get that out. Okay, so your compare and contrast essay Venn diagram should look something like this. Obviously, it's not going to look exactly like this. So you guys compared either two characters in Where the Red Fern Grows, or you compared remote learning versus learning at school. Okay, so does it ring a bell? We good to go for that? Is there a question? Okay. All right, so looking at this, I'm going to go ahead and look at the example found on page 347. So you guys were to look at reference 173 and read through that together and talk about it. And it has, when you guys get started working on your rough draft, that is a great reference to look at because it gives you different transition words to use. But right now we're just going to focus on moving from the Venn diagram and kind of outlining your ideas. That's all we're going to be doing today. Okay. So looking at that, when it's comparing reading a book to watching a movie. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and just steal some of their examples and write these down just to save time here. Okay, so we're comparing reading a book to watching a movie. Has anybody watched any movies that you read the book recently? Yeah, awesome. That's great. It's always interesting. All right. So if we were going to go through, and then obviously that the similarities would be in the center. Okay. So we'll go ahead and write some of these down. And then what I thought would be kind of cool is outlining based on what they have in the example. Okay, so they have, but remember the opposite. So is published for the movie. Versus this one would be is produced after the book. Okay, so this obviously goes on and on. You were to find at least 4 in each category. You do not have to do 4 in your final product, but we wanted you to have more than enough ideas than not enough ideas. So as you would go through, you would have, oh my goodness, my laptop is acting funny today. So you'd have all the different things, and you guys can see the example in your book too, of all the different examples that they have. So what we're going to do is let's go ahead and create an outline. And remember, this does not have to be very specific. I know that in other outlines I've said you have to have an A, you have to have a B and all that. I'm okay with you just writing a general outline, okay? So let's go ahead and write that out. So looking at that first one, you're going to have, I'll show you the general outline here. So introduction, and this is for yourself. And you're going to have compare, so the similarities. And then you're going to have contrast. You're going to have the differences. And then you're going to have the conclusion. Okay. Questions so far? All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to read through their example essay, and let's go ahead and create an outline based on the essay. So if I could have a volunteer read the first paragraph. Jeanette, would you mind reading that first paragraph, my sister? You got to unmute yourself here. I'll unmute you. Do you see where I'm at, my sister?
My sister and I both love stories. I love to read books. My sister prefers to watch movies. After I read the book, I tell my sister all about how great the story is. My
Descriptions.
My descriptions of the characters and events are usually vivid enough to cause great
anticipation
as my sister waits for the movie to come out. As we watch the movie together on opening day,
I subconsciously
compare the book to the movie. In the end, I still think reading the book is better, but my sister thinks watching the movie is better.
Awesome. Great job. Snaps for Jeanette. Thank Thank you. All right, great. So let's go ahead and create the outline based on this. And we could do, I'm just going to do a tab and an A. And if you're doing the book, you are like comparing two characters and where the red fern grows, you might want to make sure you include where the red fern grows in this, like in Where the Red Fern Grows by Wilson Rawls. Okay, you can introduce that. In this situation, this is a story. They write a story about books versus, or I'd say they introduce the show comparison about books versus movies. And then the B could be share story about sister. Okay, so this is just in general. Once again, if you're doing the characters, you probably want to make sure that you add in your outline about that you're comparing the two characters and that it's going to be, it's from this story. Okay, if you're talking about the other topic, which is the situation as of right now, remote learning versus at school, you probably want to share a story of like maybe how you found out about this or whatever, and talking about how it's different to introduce us into the topic. Questions on the introduction right now. So this is just outlining today. We're just kind of putting bullet points on what we want to talk about. Okay. All right. Moving on. So going to the next one, it says compare similarities. All right. Sophia, would you mind reading the next paragraph, My Sister and I? I'm unmuting you now. Maybe. It's not letting me unmute you. There we go.
Just a second. Sorry. Charlotte, it's unmuted.
We're on reference 173. Let's hurry. Page 347 or 348.
My sister and I admit that books and movies have their similar points. Both are entertaining because they tell a great story. Each has a setting that tells or shows where the story takes place. Also, they have characters that are faced with a problem. Likewise, books and movies both have a plot that tells what happens and an ending that brings the story to a close.
Good, thank you, Sophia. Snaps for Sophia. All right. So as I went through, I quickly just wrote down, okay, what are the main points they talk about? They talked about how it's entertaining. They're both entertaining. They both have a setting, and they have characters that face a problem, and they have a plot. You could continue on. It could say, if I wanted to branch off, if you wanted to be more specific in what you're doing, you could do something like, one tells what happens, ending that brings story to close. Okay. And if you're reading in the book, if you have the book, you might want to give examples. And I know a lot of you, I collected the textbooks because I didn't know if we were going to be doing this at that point. But if you want to just share something that you remember, like when this happened to Ruben or whatever, you could just say that. If you have the book, you could do the chapter if you'd like, or the page. But if you don't, that's not a big deal. You can just refer to a part in the story that explains that character's trait. So if you think that they're both loyal, you could give examples. Sophia, I need you to be sitting up. I don't want you to be laying down, please. Thank you. or if you're comparing situations like from home and remote, you might talk more about, well, these are things that I do at home as well as at school. Okay. Or Mrs. Barnhart is feisty at school and she's feisty on remote learning. And I'd be like, okay, that's fair. But giving examples and branching off there. And I know that you won't have specific like evidence like in a textbook or whatever, and that's okay, but be as specific as you can in giving evidence to support why that's a similarity or why that's a difference. All right, let's move on. And you can always review this video later if you're like, ooh, I'm not sure how she did that. All right, let's move on to the contrast paragraph. Will, do you want to read this next one?
Even though they have similar points, books and movies are also very different. I like the fact that the book comes out first. This gives me a chance to read and enjoy it before it is released as a movie. My sister likes the idea of watching a movie in 1 to 3 hours. It takes me several days to read a book. I am encouraged to use my imagination when I read a book. Reading a book gets you involved in the story. In contrast, watching a movie takes the imagination out of it.
Awesome. Reading, okay, good. All right, so moving on. Are you still there, Will? You good to go? All right, go ahead and just take a moment right now. Can you outline, even if you're just jotting on a sticky note or whatever, how would I kind of basically outline what we just read? And I'm gonna just give you like 30 seconds to work on this right now. Kind of looking at that, what are the main points of differences or contrast that they have that would show the differences between reading a book and watching a movie? All right, so let's go ahead and touch base on the first one. So what is one of the things that they talk about in this? And what's one of the first things at the beginning of that paragraph? They talk about what? Well,
The book comes out before the movie.
good. So I'm going to put timing. And I could do like book before movie. We could do I enjoy this. Like this person enjoys that more. Or you could say enjoy before movie. And you can put your opinion in this. Good. What's the next thing? Thanks, Will. Jane? I can't unmute you. It's not letting me. You gotta unmute yourself.
The movies take about 2 to 3 hours, while the reading a book takes about several days to read.
Okay, so book. I'm spending more time like adding more information. You totally can or can't. You can do up to you, whatever you prefer. So book, several days to read, and then movie, 1 to 3 hours. Anything else? Thanks, Jean. Could talk about imagination. Yeah, Beatrice, you did that. She did that. All right, awesome. Any other things? All right, let's go ahead and look at that last one. It says, all in all, my sister and I have decided that our love for stories is more important than whether we read the book or watch the movie. Since I love words, I will continue to read books and enjoy them in the same way my sister loves pictures, and she will continue watching and enjoying movies. So continuing this, I could say something along the lines of, sister and I enjoy stories. Continue to love both books and movies. Okay. Questions for me on what we need to do today? All right, so do we need to do that? We already did our Venn diagram, so we're just writing an outline. No, you do not have to do it in your book or like in classroom notebook or whatever. This is for you. So if you want to do it in classroom notebook, yeah, you can do that. If you want to do it on a piece of paper, yes, you could do that. Okay. So work on that outline today, and then tomorrow I'll probably post a little video kind of explaining okay, going from your outline, how can you expand from there? Okay, and yes, you can use this video to refer to if you're like, oh my gosh, I don't remember what she said. Okay, and then the second thing is classroom practice. It's 11-4 that needs to get done for tomorrow. Questions, other questions? All right, if any of you, I'm going to go ahead and pause this. If any of you would like to stay